Hi, Nero here from Investment Rise, and if you're thinking about buying an off-the-plan unit as an investment property right now, then this could be one of the most important videos you ever watch. Here's why. I don't need to tell you that Sydney and Melbourne markets have completely changed. From prices rising almost every week it seemed at times, and everybody wondering, oh, am I going to miss out? Get in now. You've just got to buy anything, get into the market. We've now completely turned the corner, and the conversation now isn't if prices will fall, but really the question is, how much will they fall? And one thing that all the experts are in agreement on is that the apartment market will decrease further than the house market. It's the apartment market that almost everyone says is going to be hammered more, and we're seeing those results right now. And I saw this personally when I first started investing back in 2002. At the time, it was towards the end of the Sydney boom. Prices were at all-time highs back then, and there was not a lot of growth expected in the market. Even back then, people were saying, look, it was the apartment market that was going to be hammered more, and that's exactly what happened, with the apartment market suffering for a short while, before then going flat and then recovering a little bit, and then again it went flat in 2008 before recovering again. So now you're probably wondering, well, great, okay, so we can see that apartment market prices have dropped, but they've always come back, and the average apartment price today, and especially in Sydney and Melbourne, is worth a lot more than it was back then. So what's the big problem? Well, let's have a look at some numbers now to show you, I guess, the dangers and why, for some people, buying an off-the-planet unit right now could be a recipe to send them to the poorhouse. You see, because you and I both know people who bought a apartment, say at $500,000. I'm making that figure up completely at the moment. And it was an off-the-plan unit. They put down their 10% deposit that was non-refundable, but no problems, because by the time the thing was built, it was worth, say, $700,000. Happy days. Everyone's happy. All right, they've made money, and it's all good. However, today, let's say now, when in today's market, 2018, where someone say wants to buy an off-the-plan unit, and say where they're buying at today's prices, so say $700,000, and let's say again it's only due to complete in a couple of years' time. Well, what actually happens in today's environment? Because we're no longer in that steeply rising market that we have been for the last few years, and that's number one. The second thing is that banks are looking at things differently. So let's just say that 2018, you put down your 10% deposit, which is, in this case, $70,000 is your deposit, D for deposit, okay? You put that down, it's non-refundable in most cases, and you go ahead and buy an off-the-plan unit. Great. You then believe you can continue to save over the next, say, 2 years that it's going to take to construct. Again, I'm pulling that figure out of the air. It could be longer or shorter, depending on what you're buying and where you're buying, but let's just say we're looking at a 2-year period. Okay, so you think you're going to continue to save, and you do the smart thing. If you go to your bank today and say, hey, look, based on our incomes, can we borrow the required money in order to buy the property for $700,000? The bank looks at your figures and goes, yes. But the first thing is they have made that decision based on today's lending criteria. And the problem is banks are continually changing their lending criteria depending on what forces are at play between their own financial scenario and also APRA regulations as well. So the first thing is that just because the bank says you can borrow the money today doesn't mean that when we get to completion, especially in a flat market or a declining market, that the bank will necessarily say that you can still borrow the money at that time, even if your situation hasn't changed. All right, so now let's say a scenario where you buy this property for $700,000. In 2 years' time, say the market has just gone flat, and it's still worth $700,000, which is just a little bit off camera, but you can see that's there. Now, the key question is, if the property is worth the same price that you paid today in 2 years' time, you'd probably think no big deal. But here's a scenario. Imagine over here, I'm going to ignore stamp duty, legals, and everything else here, okay? So when you went for the pre-approval, you had your $70,000 deposit, which you gave to the seller, great, and the bank said that they would lend you $630,000 in this example, okay? So that would make the 70 plus 630 was enough to get you to the $700,000. Good. However, in 2 years' time, you go back to the bank and say, look, we're ready to settle, but the bank says, yeah, and the value is still $700,000, so nothing has changed there, but the bank has now changed their lending criteria. And let's just say instead of giving you $630,000, they're only now going to give you, say, $550,000. Well, now you've got a problem, right? Because you've got your $70,000 deposit, plus now they're giving you $550,000. What's that? 70 plus $550,000, $620,000. But the price here is agreed is $700,000. So you've only got access to $620,000, which means you're $80,000 short. And the question is, do you have that $80,000 in reserve? Because highly unlikely that, say, over the 2-year construction period, you would have saved $80,000 unless you're on a really, really high income. And even if that was the case, is that what the plan was for those savings? So that's the first thing you really need to be worried about, because if the bank changes lending regulations on you and you can't come up with the $630,000 to complete the purchase, well, this $70,000 deposit that you put down is gone. Right? It's non-refundable. You can't get it back in almost all cases. So you're in a real pickle. Okay? So that's to say the least. So that's the first reason why I'd be very, very careful about buying an off-the-plan unit in today's market. Sure, in the future things might change, absolutely, and sure, price will rise again and banks will be more favorable about lending against apartments. But right now, be very, very careful. However, it gets more, I guess, dangerous and more hairy if this scenario happens, where instead of the property being worth, say, $700,000, so you buy it for $700,000, that's your agreed contract price today, but say in 2 years' time, the price drops, okay? And now you're sitting at a value of, say, $670,000. Okay, now, so that means you now have to buy something in 2 years' time when the construction finishes. You have to settle on it, and it's only worth, say, $670,000 because the market has dropped. And by the way, it's only a 5% drop, right? So it's not huge, and it's certainly very, very possible. But you're buying something that's only worth $670,000, but you're paying $700,000. You're paying $30,000 too much at the point at which you settle. That's the first thing, all right? And you and I both know you don't want to pay $30,000 too much for something, right? So that's problem number one. Problem number two, what happens if the bank says, okay, we're not going to give you the remaining money? All right, so instead of, say, they're giving you 90% of $700,000, which was $630,000 that they agreed on, okay, initially when you went for the pre-approval, say instead we have $670,000 here as being the new value of the property, but they don't even give you 90% of that, they only give you, say, 80% because that's their new criteria for whatever reason. All of a sudden, you've got to come up with 30 plus 70, probably at $100,000 out of your pocket to complete on the property. Now, buying something for $30,000 less, as if you've got a sort of 10-year time frame or a 15-year time frame in Sydney, you'll be fine. It'll be worth more than that over time. But if you're looking for a shorter time frame, you're looking to sort of make money in the next 3, 4, 5 years, if this off-the-plan unit was the vehicle to help you get further along in terms of your retirement goals, or help you create equity to come back and buy a dream home, or set yourself up, kids up, or help them through education, or whatever the case is, if you're planning on this vehicle, this off-the-plan unit helping you make money over the next 3 to 4 years, you've got to be very, very cautious. Plus, with the lending regulations constantly changing, you may find yourself actually further out of pocket. And for many people, they don't have that extra money. They've either got to remortgage their home, which is not something many people want to do, or you've got to just lose your deposit. Right? Either option is not very, very favorable at the moment. So what should you do instead? Well, as I said, I'd be very, very cautious about looking at off-the-plan unit. If that's what you really want to do, make sure you've got that extra money. Make sure you've got, say you're buying something $700,000, make sure you've got an extra $70,000 at least put aside after you've given the deposit in case things change. But really, I would be advising to just tread very, very cautiously. That's the first thing. So if you can avoid the off-the-plan purchase, great, and then look at something else. But what would you look at? Well, if you want to stick to units because that's your thing, great, find something already completed. But understand that, especially in Sydney and Melbourne, and almost certainly Brisbane as well, the unit market is expected to decrease in value. So the question is, why are you looking to get into the unit market right now? I mean, if you want to get in the unit market, why don't you wait until prices do drop and they go flat and you start to see an increase back in prices again? that would make more sense, because then you're able to keep all your money in the bank or in your equity in your other investments or home, whatever the case is, right? And keep saving, so then you're in a better position to buy property. Instead of buying something that drops in value, instead of buying something $700,000 and seeing go down to 670, you wait until it hits 670 and then move in. And then it'll rise, especially in our major cities. I'm not expecting any doubt about that. We will see prices eventually start to rise, but it could be another 7, 10, who knows how many years in the future. So that's the thing. If you want to stick into the apartment market, either don't enter right now, wait, or if you want to enter, look at something that's already built or due for completion very, very shortly, so that you're not going to have any issues with finance. And the other thing would be, though, look to see if you really need to stick to the unit market. I mean, if you're only entering the unit market as an investor because of price considerations, consider whether you should be looking at a house in another city, right? In a growing market. That's another strategy to look at. Either way, my whole aim with this video is just to caution you that if you're looking to buy an off-the-plan unit expecting to make money, you may actually find that it's actually the very thing that causes you to lose money and set you back financially, and actually put a massive brake on your ability to achieve your financial goals. Please, if you believe this video has been beneficial and you think it could help someone else, please share this video on your favorite social media, because I really want to make sure that we can help people, because I'm seeing so many people who are calling me up, who are sending me emails going, look, Niro, I'm in the process of buying an off-the-plan unit and it's about to settle, but the bank won't give me the money, and what do I do? At that stage, it's too late. So hopefully this message can get out there to someone and prevent someone from making a very, very expensive mistakes. So please share this video and let me know what you think in the comments field below. Bye for now.